You know when you're on a website and that giant cookie banner pops up and you just immediately hit reject?
Oh yeah, every time. It's like muscle memory at this point.
Right. And when you click it, you probably think, you think you've stopped the whole tracking machine, like you've completely severed the connection.
Which is, exactly what it feels like. You clicked no, so it stops.
Exactly. But you haven't actually stopped it. You've actually just forced that machine to get infinitely smarter.
It's totally the great illusion of modern web privacy. I mean, from your perspective as the user, hitting reject feels like a clean break.
Yeah.
But from an engineering standpoint, the infrastructure behind the scenes hasn't disappeared at all. It's mutated into something way more sophisticated.
And that mutation is exactly what we are unpacking in today's deep dive. We really want to figure out how businesses can genuinely respect your privacy when you opt out without, completely blinding their own marketing teams.
Right, because that's the big tension right now.
It is. And our roadmap for this today is this incredibly detailed guide put together by someone known as The Specialist. They're from BTW Media, which is a marketing consultancy agency operating out of South Africa.
Yeah, and the guide is called Mastering Privacy Compliance with Google Consent Mode V2.
That's the one. And what's really compelling about this breakdown from The Specialist is how it frames the modern data crisis for businesses.
It's a massive crisis because for years, if, say, 40% of your visitors declined cookies...
Which is a pretty standard number now, right?
Oh, easily, sometimes higher. But if they declined, you just lost 40% of your conversion data. Just gone.
A total black hole.
Exactly. And if you're managing a local marketing budget or even running a big enterprise operation, losing half your data means your automated ad campaigns are suddenly flying completely blind.
Well, let's get right into the mechanics of how Consent Mode V2 actually solves this. Because The Specialist uses a really great analogy in the guide that I want to unpack.
The dimmer switch analogy, right?
Yes. So they point out that Consent Mode V2 isn't actually replacing the consent management platform. It's not replacing the banner itself.
Right. It's not the pop-up you see.
Exactly. It operates as the foundational layer underneath the banner. So it essentially converts that strict on-off switch into a dimmer switch.
And the mechanical shift there is just profound. I mean, historically, if a visitor hit reject, the Google tag, so the little snippets of code running Google Analytics 4 and Google Ads, they just shut down completely.
You just packed up and went home.
Literally. They sent absolutely nothing back to the servers. Zero data. But under Consent Mode V2, those tags don't actually shut down anymore.
Wait, they don't?
No, they transition into what's called a cookieless mode. So they do respect your choice by refusing to drop any tracking cookies on your device.
Okay, good. That's the privacy part.
Right. But they continue to send these anonymous, really lightweight pings back to Google.
Okay, we definitely need to define what's actually inside those pings. Because I know privacy advocates immediately get suspicious when they hear, like, oh, data's still being sent after I said no.
Which is a totally fair reaction.
Yeah, but according to the BTW Media Guide, these pings are entirely stripped of any personally identifiable information.
Entirely.
We're talking about really basic aggregated metadata. Things like the country the traffic is originating from, the device type, like whether it's a mobile phone or a desktop, the browser you're using, and the referring page.
Right. There are absolutely no IP addresses, no user IDs, no cross-site fingerprints.
It's pure contextual data.
Exactly. Consent mode basically acts as a gatekeeper for 4 specific signals. Analytics storage, ad user data, and ad personalization.
Okay.
And the very moment a user clicks reject, all 4 of those parameters are just hard-coded to a denied state.
So it mathematically locks down the personal data layer.
Yes. But it allows those tiny anonymous pings to slip through just to register that, hey, an interaction occurred.
Which naturally brings up the multi-million-dollar question here. How does a handful of non-personal data points actually help a business?
Right. How does it make them money?
Exactly. A ping that just says, like, someone in Cape Town on an iPhone looked at a product page. How does that rescue the return on investment for local marketing budgets?
Well, on its own, a single anonymous ping is practically useless.
It's just noise.
Pure noise. The real value is unlocked when Google's machine learning AI steps in. It ingests millions of those anonymous pings, and then it cross-references them against the behavior of your yes crowd.
With the people who actually opted in and clicked accept.
Right. The AI is looking for statistical correlations between the two groups.
Okay, I have to play skeptic and push back a little on this premise.
Go for it.
Because if I'm a South African enterprise,
Right.
and I'm dropping a massive local budget into Google Ads, I do not want my GA4 dashboards filled with AI guesses.
Nobody wants guesses.
Right. I need concrete performance metrics.
Yeah.
So if it's just extrapolating, how is that in any way reliable?
Well, see, calling it guessing severely underestimates the math at play here. It's sophisticated probabilistic matching.
Okay, break that down for me.
So the machine learning model analyzes the concrete data from your consented users first. It maps out their exact conversion journey, like what time of day they visit, what specific devices they use, how they navigate the site before they finally buy something.
So it builds a profile of a buyer.
Exactly. And then it looks at the metadata inside those anonymous pings from the unconsented users. And it calculates the mathematical probability that an anonymous user with a specific metadata profile took the exact same actions as a consented user with that identical profile.
Ah, I see. So it's essentially saying, like, we know that out of 1,000 consented mobile users in this specific region at this specific time of day, 40 of them bought the product.
Yes.
Therefore, we can reliably map that exact same conversion rate onto the 1,000 anonymous pings we received that have those exact same parameters.
That is exactly the underlying mechanism. And honestly, the data recovery you get from this is staggering.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
By leveraging this behavioral and conversion modeling, businesses are actively recovering up to 2/3 of the conversion data they would have otherwise just lost to the void.
Oh, wow. Recovering 2/3 of your lost data completely changes the math on a campaign's ROI.
It completely changes it. And it does way more than just, fix your reporting dashboard so things look nice. It actually keeps the entire Google Ads ecosystem functioning.
Because of the automated algorithms.
Exactly. Modern digital advertising relies heavily on automated algorithms, specifically Google's smart bidding. That algorithm literally dictates your cost per acquisition. It analyzes real-time data to bid on ad placements.
So if that algorithm loses 40% of its visibility because people are clicking reject,
It begins to starve. It starts bidding way too high on low-intent users, and it completely misses the high-intent buyers because it can't see them.
so without that model data bridging the gap, your ad campaigns just start burning through your local budget with terrible efficiency.
Total waste of money. The dimmer switch keeps that smart bidding algorithm fed with highly accurate probabilistic data. So your budget isn't wasted, but you're still technically respecting the end user's privacy.
Which makes sense why implementing this is moving from just being a best practice to an absolute necessity.
Oh, it's urgent now.
But the urgency isn't just about budget efficiency, right? It's actually being aggressively forced by the regulatory landscape. Which brings us to the South African reality check and those big European mandates.
Yeah, the specialist guide highlights a massive shift that happened recently in March 2024.
What happened then?
Google made Consent Mode V2 strictly mandatory for literally any website serving users in the European Economic Area, the EEA.
Mandatory. Like you have to have it.
Have to. If you want to utilize Google Ads remarketing or GA4 audience building, it's required. And the enforcement mechanism is what makes this so powerful.
It's not just a fine.
No, it's not some European regulator threatening to audit your business in 3 years. It is Google programmatically cutting off your marketing capabilities today.
Okay, let's apply this to a really specific local scenario. Suppose I'm running a purely local enterprise in South Africa. I sell bespoke leather goods.
Okay, nice.
And my supply chain, my customer base, it's all entirely confined to Johannesburg and Cape Town. Do not ship internationally at all. Why on earth do I care about a European economic mandate?
Because the internet doesn't respect your physical supply chain.
Yeah.
The trigger for this mandate is the physical location of the user hitting your server, not where you mail your shoes.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if a German tourist sitting in a hotel in Johannesburg happens to browse your catalog.
Or like a French executive working remotely in Cape Town clicks an ad.
Exactly. You are now serving traffic to a user governed by EEA privacy laws. Even a microscopic percentage of European traffic triggers the entire compliance requirement.
That's wild. And what's the penalty for ignoring that trigger? Like if I just say, I'm a local business, I don't care.
Immediate degradation of your ad account. Google systems will literally stop populating your remarketing audiences. So those lists of people you retarget with abandoned cart ads, they just stop growing.
Yeah.
Your conversion tracking becomes artificially depressed. And if a business just stubbornly refuses to implement it, Google can outright suspend the conversion tracking features across their entire architecture.
They just pull the plug right at the source.
Yep. But, as BTW Media's guide points out, this isn't just about dodging a Google penalty for European tourists.
Right, because it integrates perfectly with South Africa's own regulatory framework too, the Protection of Personal Information Act, POPI.
Exactly. POPI has this foundational pillar called data minimization.
Which basically means you should only collect what you absolutely need, right?
Right. The legal theory is you only collect the minimum amount of data required to fulfill a specific purpose that you've disclosed to the user. But for years, businesses really struggled to translate that legal theory into technical reality on their websites.
Until now.
Yeah, Consent Mode V2 is basically the operational execution of data minimization.
Because the moment a user hits reject, you're proving that your infrastructure instantly stops harvesting IP addresses and cross-site identifiers. You scale all the way back to just those anonymous aggregate pings.
Exactly. You're creating an auditable technical trail that literally proves to regulators you have automated safeguards in place.
And honestly, beyond just legal compliance, there's a tangible brand benefit there too.
Oh, for sure. Consumers are smart now.
They are. Users are highly sensitive to how their data is handled. When a website actually respects your rejection instantly, without making you manually untick 15 different legitimate interest boxes, it builds trust.
It signals you're a modern, trustworthy business.
Okay, so hearing the threat of suspended ad accounts and POPA violations definitely creates a lot of urgency.
It definitely gets the CEO's attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But moving from theory to implementation is where most businesses just hit a brick wall. Because managing the data layer and configuring consent tags is deeply technical.
It is not a weekend DIY project.
Right, so let's walk through the phase-by-phase enterprise roadmap that the specialists laid out for actually getting this running smoothly.
Yeah, enterprises need a very methodical rollout, otherwise they risk breaking their entire analytics stack. The guide breaks it down into 5 actionable phases.
Okay, what's phase 1?
Phase 1 is foundational. Choosing your path for the consent management platform itself. You essentially have option A and option B.
Option A being the certified CMPs. Tools like CookieS, OneTrust, user-centrics.
Exactly. And for an enterprise, a certified CMP is almost always the correct path. They cost money, yeah, but they have direct integrations with Google's API.
And they handle the geolocation rules automatically, right? Like making sure a user in California sees a different banner than a user in Johannesburg?
Yes, and they automatically log all the consent receipts for your compliance audits. The trade-off is just the monthly licensing cost, which scales up with your website traffic.
Which leads to option B, the manual implementation.
Right. It costs nothing in software licensing, but you are completely reliant on your in-house developers to write custom JavaScript for the banner, manage all the state updates, build the logging. It's a lot.
A lot of hidden costs in dev time.
For sure. But once you choose a path, phase 2 is where the real architecture gets built, setting up default consent in Google Tag Manager.
Okay, and Google Tag Manager, or GTM, is basically the central nervous system for this whole operation.
Exactly. And the requirement here is utilizing a very specific trigger called consent initialization all pages.
Which brings up an analogy from the guy that I absolutely loved. Think of Google Tag Manager as having a highly trained bouncer stationed at the very front door of your website.
It's a perfect analogy.
Right. So before any of your marketing tags, let's call them the staff inside the club, are allowed to interact with a new visitor, the bouncer steps in, and the bouncer checks the visitor's preference card.
And if that card hasn't been filled out yet, if they literally just arrived, the bouncer's default setting must be to assume the answer is no.
Innocent until proven guilty, basically.
Exactly. You must configure the GTM trigger so that all 4 of those core consent signals are explicitly set to denied before a single tag is allowed to fire.
The bouncer tells the staff, hands off, 0 tracking until we get explicit permission, which flows perfectly into phase 3, adding the consent update logic.
Because once the visitor actually clicks something on the banner, that state needs to change.
Right, and this is where the implementation kind of splits into basic versus advanced consent mode, isn't it?
Yes. Basic mode is really just a blunt instrument. If the user clicks reject, the tags remain completely blocked. No pings, no communication, no data modeling at all.
The old black hole?
Exactly. But advanced consent mode is where the specialist from BTW Media really focuses their enterprise clients.
Because advanced mode is that dimmer switch we talked about earlier.
Precisely. Mechanically, in advanced mode, the Google tags are actually allowed to load before the user makes a choice.
Wait, really? Before they click anything?
Yes, but they are strictly locked in that cookieless denied state. They just sit there and wait. If the user clicks accept, the platform fires an update command, The tags switch to granted, and normal cookie tracking begins.
But if they click reject,
If they click reject, the tags stay locked in the denied state, but they are now authorized to fire off those anonymous pings we discussed.
got it. So phase 3 is entirely about making sure that update signal routes correctly from the banner down to the tags.
Which brings us to phase 4. Test and verify. The BTW Media Guide really stresses using GTM's preview mode for this, and you always have to test in an incognito window.
Because testing is where you catch all the critical failures. Like, did the default state actually register as denied? Did
Yep.
the tags hold their fire?
Exactly. When the banner was clicked, did the data layer actually update? And then finally you hit phase 5, go live and monitor. And I have to say, this phase requires a massive dose of patience from the marketing team.
Because you don't just turn this on a Friday and see perfect data modeling working by Monday morning, do you?
Not even close. The machine learning model needs a training period. It usually takes like 2 to 3 weeks of significant traffic volume for the AI to ingest enough yes data to build a statistically valid model for the no crowd.
So during that window, your GA4 reporting might look a bit chaotic.
It will definitely look weird for a couple of weeks.
Well, knowing how complex that roadmap is, it's pretty inevitable that things will break in the wild. Even if you follow the guide perfectly, reality is messy.
Very messy.
Let's move into the 5 critical mistakes that actively break consent mode. The things that leave developers staring at their screens wondering why their data is still completely wrong.
These pitfalls are so notoriously common. Mistake number 1 is failing to establish that default state before the tags fire.
So going back to the club analogy, this is like the staff talking to the guest before the bouncer checks the card.
Exactly. It's a classic race condition. If your Google Analytics tag fires even a millisecond before the consent initialization trigger sets everything to denied, you violated the protocol.
And what happens then?
Google systems will often just reject the data entirely if the sequence is out of order.
Wow. Okay, mistake number 2 is actually fascinating to me because it pits site performance against privacy compliance.
Caching plugins.
Yes, caching plugins freezing the consent state. Most modern websites rely on tools like WP Rocket just to get their page load speeds up.
Which you need for SEO and core web vitals. Caching is mandatory. But it operates by serving a static, saved version of your dynamic web page to the next visitor.
So it's basically like taking a high-resolution photograph of a locked door and then presenting that photograph to the next visitor.
Yes.
The previous user may have brought the key, clicked accept, and fully unlocked the door, but the caching plugin is just serving a frozen image of the denied state to everyone who visits after them.
The update logic is completely trapped under the cache. It's a huge issue. The technical fix there is ensuring your caching plugin is specifically configured to bypass or exclude the scripts managing the consent data layer.
Otherwise, you'll literally have users clicking accept, but your analytics will permanently record them as denied.
Which ruins the whole point. And mistake number 3 is actually pretty similar. Testing the implementation while you are actively logged into your website's content management system.
Like testing while you're still logged into Shopify or WordPress as an admin?
Yeah.
I can see how that would flood the browser with backend scripts.
It completely corrupts the data layer environment. An admin session drops all these tracking and session cookies that a standard user never, ever encounters.
So if you test the banner while those admin scripts are firing, you're getting total false positive.
Exactly. Your testing environment must be a sterile, private browsing window. You have to mimic a true first-time visitor.
Okay, mistake number 4. This feels like a massive blind spot for marketers, assuming that consent mode automatically flows to non-Google platforms.
This is such a dangerous misunderstanding of how fragmented the privacy ecosystem really is right now. Google Consent Mode v2 only governs Google's proprietary architecture.
Just GA4 and Google Ads.
Right. It has absolutely zero jurisdiction over your Metapixel, your LinkedIn Insight tag, or your TikTok scripts.
Wait, so if a user explicitly clicks reject on your beautifully configured, perfectly Google compliant banner,
Yeah.
but you haven't wired your Facebook pixel into that exact same logic,
Your meta ads are just going to keep illegally tracking them anyway.
Oh, wow. Which exposes you to massive compliance liability.
Huge liability. Enterprises running multi-channel marketing stacks have to implement platform-specific solutions. Like if you use Facebook, you have to configure the Facebook Conversions API to actively listen to your consent management platform.
Same for TikTok. They have their own events API.
Exactly. You cannot just implement Google's dimmer switch and assume it automatically dims the lights in Meta's house.
You literally have to wire every single marketing channel back to that one central bouncer in GTM.
Every single one. And finally, mistake number 5, forgetting to update both your GA4 and your Google Ads tags.
People forget the ads tags.
Surprisingly often. It's really common for an engineering team to perfectly map the consent signals to Google Analytics, but then completely neglect the Google Ads remarketing tags sitting right there in the same container.
But if the Google Ads tags aren't receiving those granted or denied state updates, the smart bidding algorithm never actually gets the model data it needs.
Right. You've done all the hard technical work, but failed to plug in the actual machine that spends your budget. The entire ecosystem has to be synchronized for the data modeling to function properly.
Okay, so synthesizing everything we've covered today. The era of the simple binary accept or reject button is effectively over.
Long gone.
As the specialist from BTW Media details so well, simply shutting off the data pipeline created a catastrophic black hole for local and enterprise marketing analytics.
And Google Consent Mode v2 provides the solution by introducing that dimmer switch. It respects the user's privacy by halting the cookie placement, but it utilizes those vital anonymous pings.
And when fed into Google's advanced machine learning models, those pings allow a business to recover up to 2/3 of their lost conversion data.
Which directly rescues local marketing ROI because it keeps automated systems like smart bidding fed with accurate probabilistic patterns.
And if they adhere to that phase-by-phase roadmap, properly configuring GTM's default consent, utilizing advanced mode, and avoiding the traps of caching errors or platform fragmentation, South African businesses can really lock in that ROI, all while remaining legally compliant with strict European mandates and local POPIA regulations.
It's honestly the rare technical update that actually benefits both the end user's privacy and the business's bottom line.
It really is.
Oh.
But, understanding the sheer power of this probabilistic modeling, it actually leaves me with a rather profound question about where this is all heading.
Oh yeah, how do you mean?
Well, think about it. If a machine learning algorithm can already accurately predict 2/3 of human purchasing behavior based on nothing more than a few anonymous data points like, just the fact that I'm holding a mobile phone in Johannesburg at 8 p.m., how much of our deeply personal data do these companies actually need anymore?
That is a fascinating point.
Right. We've spent a decade fighting over the regulation of invasive tracking cookies. But if the AI is already this capable of predicting exactly who we are and what we'll buy without them, will the traditional tracking cookies soon be made entirely obsolete by the algorithm itself rather than by privacy laws?
It really makes you wonder what the privacy landscape looks like when the models no longer need to know exactly who you are because they already know exactly what you're going to do.
Definitely something to keep in mind the next time you confidently click reject on a banner, assuming you've outsmarted the system.